Hey there, welcome back to our AI in Action series here on Tech Savvy 101, your go-to podcast for learning how to use AI tools in real time. I'm Sarah Baker, your tech savvy bestie, with another time-saving AI trick that's going to make your life so much easier. Whether you're an experienced AI user or just getting the hang of things when it comes to artificial intelligence, stick with me as I share some of my favorite tips, tricks, tools, and shortcuts to save you hours each week within your business. In these episodes, I'm not just talking about AI tools, I'm showing you how to use them in real time. Here's what you can expect from today's episode. Today, we're diving into something that's going to save you hours of content creation time, automating Pinterest using Tailwind. Whether you're watching or listening, by the end of this episode, you're going to know exactly how to set up Tailwind for maximum efficiency, how to create an automated pinning schedule, and yes, I'm showing you all of my favorite shortcuts. Let's get started. Let me start by telling you why you are missing out big time if you are not using Pinterest as part of your content strategy, especially if you are creating evergreen content like we talked about in our last episode. Here's something that might surprise you. Pinterest isn't actually a social media platform. I know, what a plot twist, right? It's a visual search engine with over 445 million monthly users. That is per month, who are actively searching for solutions. And unlike most platforms, which want to keep users on the platform, Pinterest users are buyers. They are ready to leave the site in pursuit of their solution, and they have got their wallets ready. And Pinterest makes it incredibly easy for them to do this. Here's the best part. Unlike Instagram or TikTok, where your content disappears in hours, Pinterest pins can drive traffic for 4 months or longer. Some Pinterest pins drive traffic for years. This is evergreen content in action. But here's the challenge that I hear all the time. Sarah, Pinterest takes too much time. And trust me, I felt the same way before I discovered this system. That is exactly why we're talking about Tailwind today. It's an AI-powered scheduling tool that's about to become your new best friend. Tailwind makes Pinterest feel like almost an afterthought once you make it part of your content marketing routine. And with just a few hours of effort per month, you can automate your pinning schedule, recirculate your top performing pins with the SmartLoop feature, analyze your performance to optimize your strategy. And since this is an episode of AI in action, we're going to dive right in and I'm going to walk you through how to use Tailwind now. If you're listening to this episode right now, don't worry, you'll find the YouTube link for this episode in the show notes. Feel free to listen along right now and then grab the link afterwards. All right, let's jump into Tailwind. If you don't already have an account, there is a link to Tailwind in the show notes, which will also provide you with a $30 credit when you sign up. So once you've signed up, you're going to follow these steps to connect your Pinterest account. Quick tip, make sure you're logged into your Pinterest business account, not a personal account. I definitely learned this the hard way when I first started out using Pinterest as part of my content marketing strategy. So you want to log into Tailwind and connect your Pinterest account. I have already connected mine. It's very simple. You just follow the basic steps and you're authorizing Tailwind essentially to access your Pinterest boards. Then you're just going to select the boards that you want to schedule pins for. So for example, when I log in, I see the dashboard and I also see my smart schedule over on the right. So it's going to tell me what times my ideal customers are most active and suggest those times for me to schedule my pins. You can see I have some pins already scheduled, but it's also suggesting that I pin more than once a day. So it's saying these are the slots when they would suggest. So clearly it's looking like my ideal customers, the people who are engaging with my pins, are most active in the evening. So it's suggesting that I schedule pins at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 9:30, 10:40, occasionally early in the morning, like 3 o'clock in the morning, but mostly evening pins. So that takes one thing off of your plate, not having to think about when to schedule your pins. Let's learn more about how to create a pin. You click upload pins. And for example, I have created 5 pins that are for this episode that I'm working on right now. So I've uploaded and I can bulk edit all of these 5 pins. So once they're uploaded, I can add titles, add descriptions, add the URL, which is where I'm going to direct them to, which for me will be the blog post, which is the show notes for this episode. And then I can select which boards I want to pin them to. Once I've filled all this out, and unfortunately I can't schedule these right now because I don't have the blog post up yet, but as soon as I do, then I can go in and I can either select a time that I want to schedule it, or I can use the pin scheduler to schedule it for me, and it'll put it into the next available slot, meaning that if I were to have one of these pins automatically pinned using the pin scheduler, it would put it in for today at 11 a.m. because that is the next available spot. In this case, because all 5 of these pins will be going to the same URL, I will manually schedule them out to go about a week apart to make sure that I'm not over pinning to the same URL, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Make sure that when you're creating pins that you're going with the 2:3 ratio. This is 1000 by 1500 pixels if we're getting technical, but also if you go into Canva, you can search for Pinterest pins and there are a wide variety of templates available. So once you've uploaded your content, like I've just done, you'll add your title and add your description. I keep all of my pins in Asana so that for each piece of content, I have my titles and I keep a variety of titles, a variety of descriptions, and the keywords that I'm targeting for that piece of content organized so that this goes very quickly. You'll also note that while all 5 of these pins are going to the same piece of content, which is actually this podcast episode, each one has a different title and a slightly different pin design. Additionally, I will use different titles for each of them. The best Pinterest automation tool, why Tailwind saves you hours, Pinterest scheduling made easy, how to use Tailwind for maximum growth, boost your Pinterest traffic on autopilot with Tailwind. So as you can see, they all target slightly different keywords. And this is important because you never quite know which pin will pop. So you're kind of covering all your bases here by creating different graphics as well as different headlines and descriptions. So you can fill this in, schedule them out, very easy. So that's how you schedule a basic pin. Another common question I hear is, how many pins should you be pinning per day? And the answer is truly, it depends. How many blog posts are you publishing each week? Are you creating short form video content such as Instagram Reels or TikTok or YouTube Shorts? If yes, you can pin those too. Pinterest allows video content in video pins, so you could turn that into content for Pinterest. And if you're creating short form content and you want to pin it, how many videos are you publishing each week? If you're publishing, are you publishing YouTube videos? If yes, how many? Are you releasing podcast episodes? How many are you releasing each week and how many do you have already recorded? Do you have any new offers or products or landing pages on your website to include? And do you have any affiliate links you'd like to promote? All of these questions are important to consider because each piece of content is its own unique URL. This is crucial for Pinterest because you cannot pin to the same URL more frequently than once every 7 days without potentially triggering Pinterest spam filter. So for example, like I talked about with these 5 pins, I won't pin them all in the same week. I will spread them out about every 7 days apart. So this is really 5 weeks worth of pins for this one piece of content. The way that I keep track of where and what I'm pinning is just with a simple Google Sheet, because again, it's really all about how many URLs are you pinning to. So for example, I keep track of what major landing pages and home pages on my website do I want to pin to. I keep track of all my podcast episodes. I keep track of additional blog posts that are not show note blog posts. Lead magnets, those are great things to pin to. Keep track of other products. I keep track of affiliate links. And then I have a whole bunch of digital products, all of which have their own URL. So I'm tracking at about 100 links. So that gives me 100 pieces of content that I can then pin to once every 7 days each. When you divide that up, that means that I really should be pinning more than 5 pins a day. For example, if you have 7 blog posts, each blog post has its own URL, you could rotate through pinning those blog posts every day for a week, and then Pinterest wouldn't have any issue with that. And then the next week, you could pin to those blog posts again. But if you pinned your lead magnet every single day, especially if you used the exact same pin and didn't rotate through like you were doing here, where I've got 5 different pin graphics, that is a surefire way to get in Pinterest jail and potentially even lose your Pinterest account. When I very first started out with Pinterest for business, I did lose my first Pinterest account because I got on there, had a brand new account, tried to pin 50 different things in my first day, and then promptly got a notification that my account had been closed for spam-like activity. So start out slow, spread out your pins, and that's really where Tailwind comes in, because it allows you to work for an hour or two, create a whole bunch of pins, set them and forget them, and not have to show up on Pinterest every single day. But definitely be sure that you're aware of best practices for Pinterest so that you don't end up losing your account. Learn from my mistakes. Before we dive in, there's one crucial concept you need to understand when it comes to Pinterest marketing, and that is fresh pins. So what the heck is a fresh pin? It's content that Pinterest users have never seen before. And here's the kicker. Pinterest algorithm absolutely loves fresh content. In fact, it is your ticket to significantly growing your Pinterest traffic. Now, Pinterest uses two main methods to determine if your pin is fresh. First, they check the URL that your pin links back to. If that URL has never been seen before on Pinterest, think like a brand new blog post or a fresh product listing, boom, Pinterest automatically considers it fresh. The second method is that they analyze the actual image itself. When you upload a pin, Pinterest system checks if that exact image has ever been uploaded before, the whole pin. So if your pin has either a unique URL or a completely unique image, Pinterest marks it as fresh, which means it's much more likely to get seen, get engaged with, and drive traffic back to your website. Think of content on Pinterest as falling into one of three buckets. You have brand new URL, never having been pinned, and brand new image. This is the VIP elite bucket, and Pinterest puts these pins at the very top. Next is a previously pinned URL that has been pinned to Pinterest before, but a brand new image, meaning you've created a new pin, never previously pinned to Pinterest before. This is the next highest priority bucket. Pinterest understands that you're not constantly cranking out new content, but that you are wanting to put fresh pins out pointing back to your content. So they are prioritizing people who are creating new images instead of just repinning the same pin over and over. So the too long didn't read of that is create new pins, even for old content. The bottom bucket is pins that have previously existed on Pinterest before, both the URL and the image. This is just straight up repins. No changes to the image. Tailwind has rolled out features to help users create fresh pins and to make it even easier than before. To create content that falls into the top two buckets to help keep content on Pinterest new and encourage users from repinning older content. That's not to say that you shouldn't repin older content, but you should make sure that you have a strong mix of all three types of pins, all three buckets. This is where Tailwind Create comes in. Think of this as Canva on steroids. It was designed specifically to help businesses create fresh pins in bulk. Let me walk you through how it works. First, you head over to Tailwind Create. Over on the left-hand side of Tailwind, there is a tab for Create. And as you can see, I was playing with this last night with one of my digital products. This system will automatically apply your fonts and your brand colors to Tailwind's templates. You've got options for your images. You can upload them either directly from your computer, you can choose from their stock photo library, or you can import them directly from your website by simply dropping in a URL, which is really cool. Once you select your images, the magic happens. Tailwind's design gallery will automatically populate with templates using your images. You can filter for templates that work with single or multiple images, explore different styles, and even adjust the text overlay. And here's a pro tip. If your brand colors are just really not vibing with the particular template, you can switch to colors that are pulled either directly from your images or they have many brand palettes that are pre-populated. For example, my brand colors are very bold, and I found that they did not look good on a lot of the pin templates, so I switched over to one of their pre-existing brand palettes. When you spot a template you love, just favorite it for easy access, and it builds you a little library of all of your favorites. You can see that my favorites are all in here. These are all the designs that I really like. Most of them are quite simple, but there are some really, really fun ones, some that are more bold than others. And you can sort by photo count, one photo, no photos, multiple photos. So depending on what your business is, if you are a graphic heavy business, especially if you create products and you have lots of images of your products, you could definitely go with the templates that have multiple photos. Whereas if you're more of an infopreneur like me, I don't have a ton of individual or unique photos. I'm using a lot of stock photos, so I'm relying more on the text-heavy template. Now, let's talk about creating variations. You can shuffle through the different design options with just one click and use their image shuffle feature to create even more fresh pins. But it doesn't stop there. You can also try changing up your text overlay to target different Pinterest users. For example, if you're working with a recipe pin, you could create one version highlighting how quick it is to make and another version emphasizing dietary compatibility. And here's where it gets really powerful. Now, let's say you've got 5 templates you love and 4 different images. With those alone, you could create 20 different fresh pin variations, each keeping the same text overlay. By testing different content positioning, branding elements, text colors, and template variations, you're not just creating content, you're building a strategic arsenal to target different audiences and discover what drives the most engagement for your business. And the best part? Once you've selected all your fresh pins, it is literally 2 clicks to review and schedule your content. That's it. You're done. This is how you create Pinterest content that works smarter, not harder for your business. Did your brain just explode a little bit? I know mine did when I saw this tool. So Tailwind Create is a really, really strong, powerful tool. Another awesome AI feature within Tailwind is their Ghostwriter technology. Think of it as a built-in copywriting partner. It can help you create content that works through your brain fog and writer's block with ideas and inspirations. But the use cases for this tool are extremely extensive. It can create posts for platforms like TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all the social media platforms. But it can also help you with things like Shopify, Amazon, and Etsy listings. It can help you generate YouTube script outlines, titles, and video descriptions. It can help you with blog posts, keywords, and blog writing help, SEO titles, meta descriptions, email subject lines, and even full email frameworks. It can help you to generate ideas for product names or with editing and proofreading your blog, with even generating Google and Facebook ads, and of course, Pinterest pins. The uses for this tool are very extensive and impressive, and it works on a credit system. So depending on the plan you're on, you get a certain number of credits per month. So as you can see, there are just a massive number of things that you can get help with from the Ghostwriter tool. Now, let me share an insider secret with you about a feature that I love in Tailwind, and it's called SmartLoop. SmartLoop allows you to recycle your best performing pins, ensuring that they continue driving traffic over time. You may not see this feature in your account, but if you use the chat feature down in the right-hand side, the little blue circle with the question mark in it, you can do a chat with Tailwind and request that the feature be added to your account at no additional cost. That's what I had to do, and it was added to my account within an hour. So to access SmartLoop, you go to Publisher in the left-hand side and then click on the SmartLoop tab. SmartLoop keeps your best content recirculating for you on autopilot. It even has the ability to create seasonal loops. So if you have products or content that is only relevant at a certain time of year about a holiday or a season, for example, if you're an Etsy seller and you sell back-to-school t-shirts, your back-to-school pins would be relevant, say, July to September each year. You could set up a smart loop for those pins to post each year to maximize their visibility when your product is most relevant. Loops are really ideal for evergreen content, though. It gives your content a chance to get in front of even more of your ideal customers without you having to remember to show up and continue to post it. A loop is essentially just a collection of pins that you want to reshare. You can set up multiple loops with different categories of pins, and Pinterest rewards consistency. So using loops allows you to show up even more consistently on Pinterest, ensuring that you've always got pins going out every day. It's still important to check back on a regular basis to update your pins and remove pins from your loops that aren't performing well and replace them with fresh pins that have been performing better. And remember, Smart Loops isn't a replacement for continuing to add new pins in your Pinterest account. Think of it as an enhancement to your overall pinning strategy. So to set up your loop, you would click on the green button, Create My First Loop, and then you can choose a loop type, whether you want evergreen or seasonal. Let's say we want evergreen. And then you name your loop. Pro tip, I organize mine by content type to make it easier to manage. So for example, I might do AI in action or chat GPT tips. And then you just add your content. You can click which boards that you want the content to be pinned to and whether you want it to be looped all year round or loop every year between select dates. So for example, if I was creating a smart loop about AI in action, I might choose these 3 boards: AI tips and tools, how to use AI, tips for entrepreneurs, and Tech Savvy 101, AI and automation made simple. And I would loop my content year round and then click next. And then it's going to ask me which pins I want to add to my loops. It's that simple. Then you can go ahead and schedule it. And a pro tip here is if you're setting up a smart loop for evergreen content, make sure that you are spreading out that content between 30 to 60 days apart per pin, especially if you are not a voracious pinner. You want to make sure that your content is showing up in a helpful way, not a spammy way. But SmartLoop is an absolute game changer because imagine you have 10 really powerful evergreen blog posts that drive your ideal customer right to your website. You could set those 10 posts up in a SmartLoop and make sure that they're going out consistently year-round to bring your ideal customers right to you. Instead of manually repinning each one and having to remember when each one was last pinned, SmartLoop keeps them in circulation automatically, which frees up your time for other tasks. Tailwind also uses the data of when your audience is most active on the platform to determine when to schedule the pins that are in your smart loops. All right, let's look at how to track if all of this automation is actually working, because you know how much I love to talk about making data-based decisions. So on the left-hand side, we're going to go over to Insights. Tailwind's analytics dashboard provides insights into pin performance, which pins are driving the most clicks, board performance, which boards are generating the most engagement, audience growth, are your followers increasing over time? Use the data to make decisions. Tailwind's data helps you refine your strategy so you're always improving. Like I talk about often, it's all about making data-backed decisions. So here's how you're going to check on your metrics so you can make those informed decisions. Like I said, on the left-hand side, you're going to click on Insights. From there, you're going to have 5 tabs to choose from on your Insights dashboard: Profile Performance, Board Insights, Pin Inspector, Website Insights, and Top Pins. Profile Performance is going to give you the big picture of your account as a whole. Board Insights will show you which of your boards have been the most popular in the last 30 days or your most recent 5,000 pins. You can toggle between various metrics in the drop-down menu on the right-hand side so that you can look at total saves, impressions, pin clicks, outbound clicks, and pin count. The metrics I look for most are saves and outbound clicks because outbound clicks are clicks through to your website, to your actual content. My pro tip here for you is to pay attention to which pins get the most clicks because that is your money metric. And saves are an indicator that they find the content valuable, so that is a sign that you may want to make more content like that. A common mistake I see is that many people get hung up on their follower count, and this is purely a vanity metric. Focus on clicks and saves because that is what drives actual traffic to your site. The next tab over is Pin Inspector. Pin Inspector is going to show you all of your pins along with their total saves, impressions, pin clicks, and clicks, as well as the date it was pinned. It's also going to give you this really nice option over here to reschedule your pins. So similar to SmartLoop, but not quite the same. This is a one-time reschedule. So for example, this pin of mine has done well, good impressions, great clicks, total saves, last pinned on September 10th. So I might want to reschedule that pin to get it out there again. And then top pins is similar. It's just going to show you your top 50 pins. So once you have a really robust account, instead of using Pin Inspector, which is going to show you all of your pins, this is really going to break it down to your top 50 pins. It's important to note rescheduling your pins puts it into that lowest bucket we talked about because it is not fresh content. However, if it is a pin that has previously performed very well, it is definitely worth posting. As a general rule of thumb, when someone looks at your Pinterest page, they should not see the same exact pin within 2 screen scrolls. So if you're not pinning often, make sure to spread out your repins far enough apart that your page doesn't just have the same handful of pins over and over, as Pinterest does not like this spammy pinning behavior. Make sure that you're checking in on these metrics often because these are the pins, especially in your top pins, that have the highest engagement, the highest clicks, highest saves, and highest impressions. Make sure that you know what your users are engaging with, not only so that you can create more pins for that content, but so that you can create more content around those topics. All right, let's wrap this up with exactly what you should do next. Here's your step-by-step action plan. 1, set up your Tailwind account. If you haven't already set up a Tailwind account, grab the link in the show notes, which will give you a $30 credit when you sign up. Then head over to Tailwind, start your account, and connect your Pinterest business account to Tailwind. 2, create your first schedule. Set up those first few time slots, choose your best performing times, and start with just 1 or 2 boards. Give yourself a break if you haven't been using Pinterest. Don't try to go in gung-ho with 5 pins a day. Just start with 1 pin a day and then 2 pins a day. And make sure to request SmartLoop if you don't have it in your account. Just send a chat message in the chat box in the lower right-hand corner. Then take a look at your metrics. Pick your best performing pin and set it to repeat every 30 to 60 days, and make sure to watch your analytics. Start small and build up. You don't have to implement everything I showed you today all at once. And there you have it, a complete walkthrough of how to use Tailwind to automate your Pinterest strategy. By setting up a consistent schedule, utilizing SmartLoop to recirculate your best performing content, and tracking your performance, you'll be able to drive more traffic to your website with less effort. If you're ready to take your evergreen content strategy even further, don't forget to check out my private podcast, AI Content Lab: Evergreen Strategies at Scale. In this podcast, I share even more tools and strategies to simplify your content creation process. Sign up for free at the link in the show notes. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to subscribe and check out the YouTube version of this episode for a hands-on demo. I'll see you really soon.